Welcome back. We are, well, in the manner of speaking, continue our focus on ensuring peace, security, and safety persists. Well, now we're talking about the developments with respect to what transpired in the Mile 12 area of Lagos. And we're joined this morning by Aminu Yaro, who is the Sarkin Hausawa of Lagos. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's an incident which, well, thankfully, those concerned are talking about this to ensure they bring about peace. And we also did see you in one of those meetings and joining the people to maintain law and order in that area. What's the latest information in terms of how they're reacting to, at least it's still short for now?
Well, first things first, thank you very much for inviting me on the program. Essentially, you know why we went there is just to douse the tension and to make sure we have what you call peaceful coexistence. Yesterday there was a meeting with His Royal Majesty the Oba of Lagos. He called on the Obas of that area and ourselves, and he had a talk down on everybody for the need for us to all live in peace. One thing I must point out here is the essence of that trip was to bring about unity, everybody. It scares me when I start to hear Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbos. So what we did was we were very proactive. To go there, the first place we went to was to try and see the Kabesis that were there, but they were not around, and the Bale, so that we can sit down and have a strategy how we can support the security services so that there will be peace, not only in Lagos, but in Nigeria.
And how are they taking it? Because when we saw you in the crowd, the first question I should even ask is, that crowd, were they mainly Hausa people who were with you on that day you went out for your peace rally?
To be very honest with you, I would say essentially Hausas, but there were quite a number of people that were not Hausas. As I said earlier on, my own mission is to try as much as possible to contribute my own quota into a peaceful development of Lagos and Nigeria as a whole, and to make sure I put in everything I have legitimately for there to be peace in Lagos and Nigeria. So, I mean, when people start to say Hausa, Yoruba, or Igbo, it scares me. I think about Libya. I think about Syria, I think about Iraq, I think about Afghanistan. Quite a number of people will tell you, okay, I have 2 passports. Like me, I have 2 passports. There are people that have visas to other countries. But when we do not use maturity and reorientate the people and this trouble starts, that's when you know your 2 passports don't mean anything. That's when you realize you do not even have any visa to go anywhere. And you're talking about a population that is almost 200 million. It is very easy for people to start saying, you know, the Hausas attacked the Yorubas and this and that. That is not it. So when I went there, I needed to tell the people there, first and foremost, we're in Lagos. Lagos is predominant Yoruba. It is a Yoruba land. They hosted us, the Hausas. My family has been in Lagos for over 200 years. But beyond that, I needed to ask the people, what is the reason why you came to Lagos? Why do you live in Lagos? It is essentially to better your life, Abi. So in the course of bettering your life, why do you need to fight? And if you see what happened, whether we like it or not, is a failure of leadership. Whatever is the reason why there was that disagreement, if the leaders had taken charge, if the people were educated enough to understand that, yes, when 2 people coexist, even husband and wife, there's bound to be disagreements. But within disagreements, you could have agreements. You agree to disagree and you disagree to agree. But before you knew it, because of lack of leadership and understanding, the whole thing went sky high. So for me, I try as much as possible to avoid coining it, you know, bringing in ethnicity and tribal sentiment, which unfortunately is what it is, but I refuse to amplify that.
That's a very challenging one in the sense that, as you rightly said, it's what it is. You know, people don't, it would seem that have there been tensions before now? I mean, I think that's a very valid question to ask. as to whether or not, I mean, people assume and take it for granted that we've existed, we've coexisted peacefully side by side. But it would seem that perhaps there are certain things that have happened and maybe haven't been handled at the level at which they should be handled. Otherwise, people will wonder, why is it that an accident, for instance, should cause such a conflagration?
There was some, to answer your question directly, yes, we have had this kind of problems. Not essentially in my 12, but other parts of Lagos. But I mean, the elders of that time and the leadership at that time waded into it. But there's something you need to understand. There's a very lethal cocktail in Nigeria, the country, that we give out to people. What is that cocktail? Number one, people have half-baked education. I don't want to sound derogatory, but people are illiterates. They don't have money, and they're hungry. That is a cocktail no society survives on. And that is why when I talk about this thing, I say the first thing that we need to do is to have a reorientation of people, massive reorientation. It's not only about you having a right, how about the right of the other person? Once the leadership is able to galvanize themselves, then you can re-energize the people in a very productive way. I'll give you an example. On the authority of my honor, it was difficult for me to face that crowd, but I had to do it.
Why was it difficult?
Beautiful. Because you know what? I knew the people I was talking to, and I knew that thing was very, very fresh. It was very, very fresh. I was very scared, but I needed to talk to them. I'll give you an example. Why do you think I was saying Eko Nibaje? I'm not a politician. I don't work for government. There's nothing I'm looking for from anybody but God. But I needed to talk to them and tell them, in case, and I'm not saying there's anybody inciting them, in case there's anybody inciting you guys, the joke is on you. We have a government that works, we have a process that is in place, and if there's anything, you go through your leadership. I was inside the market, I tried to see the obas, I tried to see the buyers, but they were not there. And whilst I was leaving, we decided we needed to talk to the people directly, because we didn't want a situation where we would leave. And then the people that had commercial interests will now come and say otherwise. But when I was talking to them, I was very, very scared. Because you know what? Once they get it wrong, I needed them to know that I was a friend and I feel for them. But you know what? You cannot take the law into your hands. So I was really scared.
Because that was why we started by asking about the composition of that crowd. It was important and instructive, knowing full well that you were there less than 48 hours after that violent incident. But after your talk with them, you had gone ahead to meet with the Oba yesterday with others. Do you think that that speech or that talk you gave to the crowd paid off?
I would say it did pay off. But then I will tell you one thing. It is not a one-off. It is something that we all need to continue to do. It's just like you guys asking me now, do I think it will not happen again?